I'm Bo Maddox.
I'm Robert Ortegon.
I'm Ashley Chancellor.
I'm Dakota Chancellor.
This is Collateral Cinema. Welcome to Collateral Cinema, the only movie podcast that matters, where we focus on good movies, bad movies, and everything else in between in the world of cinema. We're podcasting straight from somewhere in San Antonio, Texas, and yes, my friends, we are a 420 friendly podcast. So whatever you have, be it dabs, be it blunts, be it bongs, be it joints, smoke it if you've got it. What's going on, guys?
What's up?
Hey, everybody.
How's it going, everybody? Man, it's great to be back finally, right?
It's been a while, man. Shit.
Yes, and we are in New Digs right now. We're in the new Section 9 studios here in San Antonio, Texas.
A work in progress.
A work in progress. I mean, the sound may not be 100% on point, but...
This is our old stomping grounds, so I couldn't be more excited to be back. I was born here. I left when I was 5, though.
San Antonio.
Yeah,
me too. I actually grew up in San Antonio, not Lake Hills. And this is my house, actually. This is the house my wife and I, Lillian, just bought.
Yeah.
So it's super awesome to have this extra room set up for recording.
Oh, man, it was perfect, honestly. I mean, we have a bunch of purple and black panels on the wall now. We're probably going to get some more because, I mean, there might be a little bit of an echoiness. We have some blankets up to kind of soak it up a little bit, but, I mean... Rest assured, ladies and gentlemen, we will have that classic Collateral Cinema sound here very, very soon. Now, this is an At the Theater episode. We just got back from the theater, right, guys?
Yeah, the movies was, I haven't been in a while.
Yeah, man, not since Endgame, right?
Yeah, Avengers.
Oh,
Endgame.
Man, that was a lot of fun.
I wanted to see the Spider-Mans, but yeah, you guys went, but...
Far From Home was really good, actually, too.
That would have been nice to do an episode on Far From Home, but, it just didn't work out that way.
We couldn't all be there, so yeah.
Yeah, we just did Endgame. I don't know, two Marvel At the Theater episodes in a row seems a little excessive.
Yeah, definitely. But this movie is actually the sequel to a movie that came out in 2017, took the world by storm I think it came out October of that year. And that is the sequel to It Chapter 1, It Chapter 2, which is a continuation of the story. They decided to break it up into 2 parts. Robert and Ash, what are your initial thoughts on this movie?
It Chapter 2. Oh, yeah, it was great.
I thought it was great. Now... If you've been lingering online, you may have heard some criticisms here and there. We're not going to go too far. We're not going to, that's per usual. We're not going to spoil anything.
I will admit that those criticisms are pretty valid, though.
Yeah.
You know what?
Bill Hader's performance is phenomenal. That's all you need to know.
I came into this thinking that because I've heard it wasn't as good as Chapter 1. And that's true. It's not as good as Chapter 1 because Chapter 1 is just a tight film overall. The pacing is perfect.
The casting is perfect, especially with the kids.
But I came into this thinking, because I'd already read up about it, and I came into this thinking that I'd probably agree with most of the criticisms. But you know what? I don't actually. In fact, most of the criticisms I don't actually think are valid. I mean, maybe we'll get into it more without spoiling the movie too much, but I honestly thought the movie was great. I mean, obviously it's not perfect, but I didn't have any major issues with it.
You know what? It left you laughing when you wanted to, and it left you scared at the most part, too.
That's the thing with me. I was actually kind of dreading watching this movie because I don't know.
I didn't think it was going to be any good either.
But see, that's what happened.
Hold on. Yeah. I initially liked the first movie, although I do think it's kind of forgettable in some areas here or there, a little bit.
Yeah, the first chapter.
Yeah. But, I mean... when I actually got around to watching it at the theater, I was laughing out loud at every aspect that was supposed to be horror or suspenseful or everything. I mean, all of it was just so funny because it just seems to me that they just dropped the ball on making it an actual horror movie here. They were so caught up in the whole, actual ethos and universe of Stephen King and everything that I kind of feel like a lot of things got kind of lost in translation a little bit.
Maybe that's why we differ. First off, I knew that the criticisms were getting a little overboard because the first thing I heard about this when it first came out, you can only get honest criticisms of a movie when they first come out because that's when people are actually not jumping on the bandwagon. That's when they just start. And the reviews were actually mostly positive. People were just saying, yeah, it wasn't as good as the first one. It runs a little long, maybe a little unfocused.
Yeah.
I actually disagree with that, but I'll get to that in a minute. But over time, I think people just started coming to expect less and less and less until it started just becoming this bandwagon thing to just hate on the film. You know, this thing kind of happens in this world of information technology. I think that happens too much.
Yeah.
And I think if you come into this having heard all of that, that's going to change your perspective. And then the other thing is that I came into this as just a continuation of the story I watched in chapter 1, and I think it excelled at that phenomenally. I don't have to look at this as whether it succeeds or not as a horror film. That doesn't matter to me. I'm not watching this as a horror film. I'm watching this because I'm invested in the story. I'm invested in the characters. And you can call it whatever the fuck genre you want. I enjoy it for what it is.
I think in some ways, maybe it's because it's more of a fantasy horror than anything.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I kind of feel like this is what they wanted the Dark Tower to be like a little bit. You remember that movie that came out?
The Matthew McConaughey and Idris Elba, right?
Yeah, the Dark Tower. Remember that? That was like a gunslinger. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember reading the book back in Job Corps, the first one, and it was an interesting story. I mean,
That was a great story.
yeah, and I mean, they definitely kind of dropped the ball in the movie. I mean, otherwise they'd be doing the series right now. But,
Yeah, I mean, the movie, I mean, it wasn't awful, but it was kind of forgettable. I remember Matthew McConaughey and Idris Elba
Just
being in that.
Pulling a bunch of kids out to find the chosen one.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of, I remember them, but I don't remember anything else about the plot.
But and that's kind of sort of how I feel about It Chapter 2, 2017. I mean...
Or It Chapter 1, you mean?
It Chapter 1, yeah, in
See,
2017.
I don't know.
To me, it's good for like a first-time viewing, but it just becomes forgettable the more and more you think about it. You know, I mean, the best things is pretty much Bill Skarsgård's performance as Pennywise to me. And the cast of the kids, that was great, but a lot of that was kind of being fueled by the Stranger Things, you know.
No, you're right. The
It did
Netflix
remind me of
original.
Stranger
It reminded me a
Things.
lot of Stranger Things.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely an influence on this movie. I mean, it was also had a Spielbergian quality that honestly I don't think could have really translated well with them being adults.
I thought the kids did phenomenal performance. I mean, it was interesting coming across.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, the casting for the kids were pretty good. I mean, and they were actually the best part of this movie.
Yeah, and I didn't grow up with the original, mind you. So I came into this with a clean slate. I went back and watched the original later, and there's a lot of good elements to it. But I guess coming into it with more of a modern perspective,
Yeah.
I mean, it does feel a little dated. The acting can get a little corny at times. So personally, I actually preferred It Chapter 1 to the original. I know that's a hot take, but
Yeah.
just, coming into it, I think that the acting was better and it was just a better execution. But that's not to knock on the original. I think the original was something that was kind of ahead of its time.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, we had to show you that just so you have a comparison.
Yeah.
Just so you know what you're talking about.
It's very important to check out the original It miniseries. I mean, especially like Tim Curry's performance as Pennywise is just so fucking iconic.
That is the best part of that movie.
I actually read an article in a Salon, of all places, where they made the argument that Tim Curry is still far superior to Skarsgård.
They're both great. I can't say I like one over the other.
I think they're both very distinctive versions of the character.
The old one was fucking scary, dude.
He was scary, but what was great about it, and this is what they said in the article, is that he worked on the level of just being a good clown.
Yeah, I'm not saying that because we are 90s kids, but we grew up with the original. And if I were to saw the new one, the first chapter, it'd probably scare the shit out of me too. You know what I mean?
Hey, look what the cat dragged in.
Oh,
because it's the first time we're seeing it.
Look what the cat just dragged in.
Yeah, Mr. Dakota Chancellor.
The other half.
What's up, guys?
How's it going? Finally, we have everybody involved in Collateral Cinema here in the new studio.
Did y'all miss Dakota's voice? Did you notice he was absent? Well, he's back. He's here now. He took care of some things.
Yep.
So
Handled it. Yeah, now he's back. We're good.
Chapter 2, Dakota. Your thoughts?
Yeah.
See, I didn't dislike it. I don't know. Bo's got some weird opinions about it. I know he kind of feels he feels like a total critic about it. But man, I don't know. I enjoyed it. I mean, it was a little weird. There were some weird. The scary scenes, what were supposed to be scary, were more funny than they were scary. You know,
hilarious.
But see,
no, you're right.
Hilarious.
The first one didn't even really scare me either.
Right.
If anything, it was just suspenseful. So I never really looked at either as horror films. I just saw them as films that I was enjoying the story.
The thing is, guys, you need to be watching this when you were younger.
Yeah,
in
definitely.
the 90s.
I'm sure if I had watched either Chapter 1 or the 90s miniseries as a kid,
when you were a kid,
it would have scared me shitless.
I watched the first Child's Play when I was a little kid. Yeah.
Oh man, the
that
first
scared
Child's
the
Play.
shit out of me, dude.
That's a classic movie to put on, kind of like it. You know, it has that nostalgia factor, and it's actually a pretty decent story. You
show all this stuff to a 6-year-old, 7-year-old kid. Or,
you think anybody thought Leprechaun was scary?
I did.
I thought.
I never found it scary. I mean, that's legitimately a guilty pleasure series for me. The first 4 movies are just great. Leprechaun in Space. Oh my god.
Yeah. Leprechaun in Space is like another thing with like Jason X.
But Jason X.
Dakota, what did you think about? You've seen the original miniseries, right?
Yeah, no, I saw it, and actually recently still, but I did see it.
And this is a question for everybody. How do you guys think the story told in both of these chapters holds up to the original miniseries, or vice versa?
The new ones, they told more story. I think I got a lot more story out of it than I did from the first one. The first one was a lot harder for me to like understand what was going on, and I guess that could have been just me not growing up in that time, not understanding.
Yeah.
But they really go into a lot of depth in the new movies. They really explain a lot, especially at chapter 2. I learned a lot about dairy that I didn't know.
Yeah. They even kind of provide a little bit of a brief backstory for Pennywise.
They do. They give you some lore.
There is real lore here.
He is the whole town.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, there was that whole sequence, I think, where they were kind of going over the ritual and everything. Like Michael was telling them about it.
Yeah.
It was that real kind of weird, almost like a dream sequence, kind of. It just showed like what happens with the ritual, which comes around to.
That was really Native American, peyote stuff.
Comes around to kind of bite him in the ass a little bit in the end.
That was a departure from the book, I believe. Now I haven't read the book, but I have heard. They've got the ritual of Chud. For certain reasons, that particular ritual, as it's told in the book, just would not work on screen. It's too weird.
Yeah.
And honestly, a lot of the criticisms of this movie sometimes come from the fact that it is kind of a faithful adaptation of King's work.
Oh yeah,
a very faithful adaptation.
As an adaptation, it works rather well. I mean, they cover all the points that they need to cover.
Maybe this cocaine and whatever else fueled thing is just too much for the big screen. In some cases, it does come off a little weird.
Then you haven't seen Maximum Overdrive, right, Robert?
Yeah, I watched that too.
Oh my god, that was Stephen King at his most coked out.
Wow.
It's pretty fucking
there was
amazing.
a whole phase in the 70s with like Dead Zone, right? Where you just...
this was
what was this guy writing?
Like late 70s, early 80s.
I mean, it has literally a child orgy scene in it, apparently.
Oh,
and
God.
That has not made it to
about that because
any of the silver screen adaptations for good, obvious reasons.
Yeah, obviously.
Obviously, the original TV version didn't want to show it either. So.
But I've heard that it's not necessarily like a perverted moment as much as it is an empowering moment.
I still don't see in any way how that could be empowering.
It does seem a little unnecessary.
especially to modern sensibilities. It's just.
And that time it was the 1950s, and this one is the 1980s.
Yeah.
And experimental with
They did
being a
change
hippie.
the time frame, right? Yeah,
they did.
Yeah.
So it went from being the 1950s and the 1980s to the 1980s and today.
And now
today,
so chapter 2 takes place.
It's more modern.
Yeah, it is. You can definitely see a lot of differences.
30 years ago, my parents were little kids.
Oh yeah,
right there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy to see the difference.
Again, that's why it feels like Stranger Things, because it takes place in the 80s and you've got the kids.
So much 80s, dude. Like
yeah, I mean,
IROC Z28s, Camaros.
Dude, all that 80s nostalgia was so perfect, because especially when you go back to the original movie, like it has all those great 80s special effects. It has like stop motion animation. It has, the classic performance by Tim Curry. I mean, those are all quintessentially, like, it came out like what, late 80s, early 90s?
The original TV series out of like 1990.
1990. So it's pure 90s right there. And
I was barely born too. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, taking it back to the 80s was pretty interesting. Like it's actually back a decade. From the original.
But that's another criticism I've heard is the CG in It Chapter 2. But here's the thing: is I think that was intentional. Okay, and I'll tell you why. The kids in It Chapter 2 are digitally de-aged. Okay, they're digitally de-aged to be consistent with the way that they look in It Chapter 1. And I read into it, and there's a lot that goes into balancing between the natural performances and trying to be as consistent as possible, keeping them the right heights.
Make it look like Paul Walker
relative
and his brother.
So
I know what you mean.
There was no problem with the CG budget. I think where people are complaining or they're talking about like the monsters, its various forms. And I think that was on purpose. I think they were kind of doing kind of an homage to the original stop motion, claymation performances.
That might be, but I mean, like I said, there's so many times in the theater where I just completely fucking laughed out loud at, like, especially when Bill Hader, like, he encountered the Paul Bunyan statue. Oh my God, that was so fucking
and it came to life.
But it's a child.
and he looked back, and it was 27 years later.
27 years later is like it, and then everybody's like swaying in the background and everything, and like fucking Pennywise is up on top of the statue.
Yeah, that was weird with all the balloons.
The only thing that is really weird, there's the one, I don't want to spoil it necessarily, but there is the one scene and it just comes out of nowhere and it does seem oddly edited. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
The vomit scene?
Yeah, that's very weird.
It was a little jarring. I will put that because it suddenly, it's a moment that's kind of suspenseful, kind of scary, and then all of a sudden it turns straight up humorous. And then right back to scary.
Exactly.
Yeah. I was reading on Reddit and some people were like, I wonder if this was an oversight. And obviously it wasn't because there's too many people this has to go through. But it was odd. I wasn't sure what exactly happened there, but it made me laugh and I enjoyed the experience. So
I think, I mean, that coupled with the questionable monster designs, like that just took me out of it so much, I mean... Case in point, the old lady.
Yeah,
it's like the old lady scene. We all know from the original what we're talking about.
Oh man,
the version they have here
that scared the shit out of me.
How did that scare you? That was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
When I was a little kid, the original.
Oh, the original version. Yeah, the original version of that.
I don't know.
This version was just hilarious.
This was like, what is that long?
It was a little funny.
Slender Man. Slender Man. Maybe a little bit. I mean, Pennywise himself is kind of like Slender Man a little bit.
But yeah, what I'm saying is, none of it scares me now. But when I was a kid, this stuff was supposed to scare the shit out of you.
Yeah.
I mean, the new one, the new old lady in this movie. I mean, it is a little funny, but at the same time, for me, it was just so grotesquely like ridiculous and like. It honestly it was a little freaky. It looked like something that came out of like Scary Stories from the Dark.
Oh yeah, easy.
Oh, the book.
I don't even think it's good enough for Scary Stories in the Dark.
I don't know. I enjoyed it. I thought it was kind of freaky, but it was fun. And then I like in that scene you kind of see her in the background before she makes her appearance as the grotesque monster.
You know what?
Did you notice that?
I noticed that, and I feel that is such a huge cliche that it just kind of... I was just like, what the fuck is that?
I don't know. It reminded me of PT.
I mean, even goddamn Hereditary, a great horror movie, fucking did that shit, kind of. And it's like, I don't know, that Jacob's Ladder bullshit, it kind of takes me out of it nowadays. It's like, man, haven't y'all been doing this shit since, like, Saw? Since Jacob's Ladder? I mean, shit.
What, like having you like in the background or something?
Yeah, kind of that weird, fast, shaky kind of thing.
Okay,
like that effect.
I don't know. That shit scared me in PT when I played the game.
Yeah, me too.
Well,
so I mean, that just kind of brought that up.
That's a game, though. That's different to me. It's a different experience.
It is. A game is very different. In fact, in some ways, more scary because like
it is. Yeah,
you have to push yourself forward.
Like, Oh no, I love horror games and especially watching indie horror games on YouTube and stuff like that.
I love the fact that Stephen King did a cameo his own.
I felt that was way too on the nose for me because of course he's going to talk to the author character,
another author. Which is him.
That's pretty much a trope of Stephen King movies in its own
and
right.
Then he sells him back his original Stingray.
Yes.
Yeah.
Silver.
He's like, that was my bike. He's like, it's mine now.
I thought that was very poignant. It was kind of like him acknowledging the criticisms that he's gotten over the years.
I think it's cool because he knew that was his bike. I think it was.
Well, it's kind of a tradition, not unlike the Stan Lee cameos. Like, I mean, he's made a cameo in pretty much all of his movies, all the movies based on his shit. And incidentally, he was in Creepshow.
Oh yeah,
yeah. He played a character in Creepshow, the original, which by the way is getting a series on Shudder coming out real soon. Woohoo!
Okay. Can't wait to watch more Shudder.
Yeah.
All right,
dude, hell yeah, man. But I mean, Chapter 2 to me, it was just too over the top for me to take it seriously. I guess that's where I'm getting at. I mean, the casting was great. I mean, I thought Bill Hader was on point.
Bill Hader was awesome, and Bill Skarsgård when he was on screen was fantastic.
See, I think in many ways they underutilized him.
You know, I've heard that, and I've heard that they said some people have said this is the other criticism I think is invalid. I have heard it said that he is not in this movie enough, but I thought he was in it just as much as he was in Chapter 1.
Right.
Just kind of peppered throughout, not all the time, but he's a constant presence, and it is in its various forms as well. And it kind of makes you savor the moments that Bill Skarsgård is on screen.
Right. Well, you also got to realize that there's a lot of moments that are his presence is there. He's there. He's just not actually on screen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the whole scene where the Mrs. Kirsch scene. You know, that's made by him. That whole room, because that house, she leaves it later and it's in the old abandoned house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It makes you wonder, like, how powerful is he? And then, like you said, Bill Hader stole the performance. I mean, he was fantastic.
Yeah. He was pretty much running that whole fucking movie, like even chewing scenery every now and again.
But in some ways, people have said in some ways that maybe it gave the film too much of a comedic tone. I could accept that, but
no, the entire movie was comedic all the way through.
I
from the supposedly scary elements.
I think
it was hilarious,
funny and scary when you needed it. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it was pretty good, dude.
It wasn't even scary.
But
it wasn't scary, bro.
It's good enough. Not as good as Halloween, but yeah.
Halloween was,
and you're not wrong about that.
Yeah,
the first chapter aired the same time we watched the 2018 Halloween.
Yeah,
and
that's
we did a theater episode podcast.
I remember that. Yeah, that was our first episode of the second season.
Last year, that was the 2 horror movies they released.
Yeah.
Was It Chapter 1 and the new Halloween.
Yeah, and I remember that was quite a bit of buzz around that time. That was the thing.
It's like, okay, you're going to watch Chapter It or you're going to see the new Halloween.
And it was pretty cool.
Where we went. We went.
We went. We saw
the new Halloween.
Halloween. Yeah, we did that. That was fucking great. We did that
episode. That was pretty good.
And the new movies were definitely going to feature in future seasons. Like definitely.
Halloween Kills.
They start shooting the next one in October, and it'll be out in 2020.
That's going to be great. So I mean,
they haven't perfect. They haven't shot the movie yet, dude.
That'll be perfect. We'll be in season 4 around that time,
and we got to bring that up.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. You know, the other criticism I found too, the most common one, and I mentioned this earlier, was the movie being too long and being unfocused.
God. Now, that movie needed to be cut by at least 50 minutes or so.
I disagree.
Now,
usually I'm
just 40 minutes. 40 minutes would have made a difference.
But see, I can't see anywhere that would be cut.
I know.
Every part of the movie I felt was relevant to the plot, and a lot of people talk about how Act 2 is kind of the stretch that where that happens the most, except I disagree there too, because I understand why Act 2 was there. Okay, in the book, both the book and the original miniseries, it flips between the perspectives of the children and the adults. Now, they pretty much relegated the entire child portion to Chapter 1. So in order to retain some of that feel in Chapter 2, they add a little bit more flashback sequences. So I understand completely why Act 2 exists. And I got to tell you, there was no point in the movie where I felt, man, this is dragging on. Every piece of the movie, every portion, honestly seemed to flow, and I was following all along. Not only that, but I forgot where I was going with this.
Lost your train of thought. It's okay.
I lost my train of thought.
I never felt like at any point that it was dragging on, like you said. I always felt like I was enjoyed in the movie. I was very enjoyed. What's the word I'm looking for?
Invested,
yeah.
Invested in the story and the characters.
Right. I was so everything about it was interesting because I didn't have.
I know what you're saying. Just seeing how they would live up to the original actors.
But that's the thing for me.
Just continuing the story.
Exactly.
I was watching.
That's the thing for me. In spite of all the actual references to the original plot points, I mean, it checks off everything on the box. Like, it still just seems very like a very by the numbers story to me. Like, or at least a by the numbers adaptation of it. Like, I mean, there was something special about the original I mean, honestly, I would argue that it's made for TV quality is what makes it special. I mean, that it's kind of emblematic of a time that's just not around anymore.
It's got the TV style of Hallmark.
Seriously, Hallmark is literally the only actual channel doing any made for TV movies. They pretty much cornered the market, them and Lifetime. Yeah. So it's like, and maybe that's why it's a little better for me, because I mean, that's just shit that you don't see on television anymore. Like even to an extent, some miniseries you don't see as much.
Yeah, I mean, I can see what you mean from a nostalgic perspective. For me though, this was my original viewing. It was at chapter 1, and I enjoyed seeing that story played out. I really didn't have to compare it to the original, although I did watch the original in between watching chapter 1 and chapter 2. And obviously there are inevitable comparisons you'll make in your mind, but overall the choices that they made, I kind of agreed with. I know there were some points where they were more faithful to the book, and there were some points where they took some things out that were a little unnecessary to the plot they were telling.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I was really invested in it, and I honestly, I think I prefer the performances in the new ones just because I think the actors were really well chosen. The dialogue is on point. It doesn't really come across as cheesy or corny at any point, and that's kind of an element that does exist in the original for me, and it does take me out a little bit. I have to admit, I thought the child actors were great, and then the adult actors they chose really do not only look but feel like their counterparts.
Honestly, yeah, a lot of them, I really felt a good resemblance and a good, wow, they really are the same character.
Yeah, I'm really not.
No, you're right.
I'm really not going against the casting. Right. I mean, it was pretty on point.
We were all impressed by the casting.
It's almost like they didn't change.
I mean, James McAvoy.
James McAvoy. He was such a good actor. Bill Hader.
Yeah.
There's so many good ones that I can't even
in many ways.
Oh yeah, true.
In many ways, it just feels to me like the actual child cast, even de-aged as they were still more memorable here than some of the scenes with the adults.
I will say the child cast impresses you more, I think, because they're children and because they were really good.
Oh yeah, I mean they were on point, and that was excellent casting on their. I mean, I think one of those kids was on Stranger Things, right? The kid with the glasses.
Yeah, Finn. What's his last name? Finn Wolfhard. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's Richie, and who's later played by Bill Hader. Now, because the characters were so on point, and because the adult counterparts matched their child counterparts.
Yeah.
For me, I didn't have to do as much comparisons because they felt like the same characters, just older.
Each one of them had their own on-screen time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like each one had their own scenes, where they go get their artifact and they go do something. So you got a moment with each one of them. So you got to understand.
Yeah.
Even Stan at the end, actually, they bring Stan in.
Yeah.
Because if you've seen the old one, you know what happens. So.
But that to me kind of contributes to the problem of the movie being too fucking long. It's like, I mean, did we really need to go through all of that? I mean, shouldn't there have been a way that they could have cut that a little shorter?
I don't know. I think it was important to see the exposition between each of the characters.
And also to get that feeling that's in the original book and in the original miniseries of switching between adult and child perspectives. Well, and I thought the way that they did that was actually pretty brilliant, the way they brought it back.
It was important because each kid, each character, each actor, each older actor too, they each had to experience it themselves again.
Through the back flashes.
Right, exactly.
Even when they entered the town again.
Each and every hilarious
It's like it all came back to them as soon as they entered Derry again.
Oh man.
As soon as they left, they forgot everything.
that kind of shows you how powerful, it was.
Yeah.
And the Chinese restaurant scene actually really does resemble the original.
It does.
I thought that was
I'll admit that was great. Yeah. I'll admit that was one of the better scenes in this movie. definitely.
Just like the original.
Like seeing their personalities come back alive, seeing them meet each other again. You know, you've got Richie and Eddie.
Yeah. I mean, there's something really special about that.
Richie being a stand-up comedian.
With a really nice red car.
Yeah.
I thought, you're talking about the original now.
The both of them.
It was the same one. Yeah.
I thought that was a good modern revision because I believe in the book he's a DJ.
Yeah.
And he's a talk show host in the 1990. In this one, he's a stand-up comedian.
Stand-up comedic
and
actor.
I feel like that really works, and that's a good modernization.
Especially given who they actually picked for that role.
Right.
With Hader, you know?
Yeah, you get all that SNL back.
Yeah, I mean, you have his comedic talent there. I mean, in his timing and everything. I mean.
There you go. Robert, he has a Mustang in the new one, a nice red Mustang. What does he have in the old one? In the old It? What kind of car is it?
It's like an 89, 1990 IROC.
Something happens to you when you leave this town. The farther away, the hazier it all gets. But me, I never left. I remember all of it.
To the losers.
We made an oath.
Swear? If it isn't dead, if it ever comes back, we'll come back to it.
We didn't stop it.
Pennywise.
The clown.
We can't let it happen again.
Hello?
Kid!
Hello.
For 27 years, I dreamt of you. I craved you. I missed you.
We need to finish it. For good.
I've seen all of us die. It consumes us from the inside until we don't have a choice anymore.
You lied. And I died. You lied. And I died.
Z28 Camaro.
See, I can ask him any question.
It's got a
about a car. He knows it.
350. It's got a 350 with a 400 turbo transmission.
God damn, dude. That's what's up.
Yeah, we've actually got part 2 of the miniseries playing in the background as we talk about this.
We're
That's
at
the
the-
inevitable comparison.
Yeah, we're at the library scene. Everybody knows, you know, that shit. It's like, oh man, Tim Curry was just he's so priceless here, man.
Oh yeah, he is.
I mean, he even makes all those corny ass jokes that he's telling just seem so hilarious but also intimidating. See, I mean, that's kind of something I think was missing a little bit from Skarsgård's performance, was a little bit of that whimsy. They kind of had it a little bit in the first one with the dancing clown scene.
Oh, that was funny.
Yeah, that was pretty funny and surreal and everything. But
funny and terrifying at the same time.
Yeah, but I don't know. Comparing that to how clownish Tim Curry's take on Pennywise is, it's just I don't know. I just like this one better because he still feels like just a corny old-timey clown, but you're still intimidated by him.
Oh yeah,
he's still terrifying. Even right here, telling these jokes and doing his weird laugh. There's something terrifying about it, and the fact that he's making all that noise and Homeboy has to yell over something that nobody else is perceiving.
Yeah, nobody else but him is hearing it.
I mean, that to me is how you.
It's like you still have your childhood innocence when everybody else forgot.
Yeah, it's like there's
the whole town forgot.
I mean, there's a real subtlety to that scene that I think is really, really fun. I mean, it's subtle in its unsubtlety in some ways, if you get what I'm saying.
They still kind of have their child innocence.
Yeah.
And hadn't forgotten.
I'll give it that. The original does do a better job, I think, of portraying the whole... I like when the adults like have the blood on their hands.
Yeah.
And...
Yeah.
But they don't notice. And like you said, Tim Curry's whimsical performance, that's something that, it doesn't translate into the new one. I think Bill Skarsgård just went for something completely different.
Yeah, he did.
I think that was important. I think he wanted to have a distinctive performance. I don't think people wanted him to have to compare him to Tim Curry.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the thing. He's going to be compared to that, and to me, there is no comparison. Tim Curry is superior. Yeah, he's a superior Pennywise all the way.
Big shoes to fill, you know. Again, I don't necessarily say if one's superior over the other. I think they both bring their own flavors to the performance.
Yeah.
I think Bill Skarsgård in particular has this quality I like when he's about to feed and he kind of drools.
Yeah.
And you get that glazed over look and it's kind of like, you know that, ready. Yeah. That's a really cool moment.
Well, it's like he's about to pounce. This is he's actually hunger. It's like he's starving for them. He's like, he even has like lines he says. What is it? I waited.
And I gotta say, the moments in both films, Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, where they take down Pennywise at the end, and the one in Chapter 2 is criticized a little bit, but I really feel like there were empowering moments. Like in the first one, the kids are just fucking wailing on him.
There's like 3 stones, and then the hammer, and then the other one they shoved a spike right there, like iron.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I
kind of like the leprechaun, right?
I like that scene where the kids just wail on him. It's that turn the tables moment, and they're fucking just beating the shit out of him. And they do that again as adults in a completely different way. They completely just diminish him.
The mouth.
Yeah.
Remember the mouth open?
And that's an empowering moment too, because it's like, fuck yeah, fuck you.
Remember,
fucking
when
and he starts to wail and like
they finally realize that they've probably had the power over him that whole time. They've had that power over him.
They were just scared.
And then there's that moment where he's kind of wailing and he kind of has like the pity party moment, and they just fucking crush him anyway.
Yeah.
And it's like that moment of like, no, fuck you. I have the power now.
Definitely.
Like you had this power over me and now I have the power over you. And just that really hit home. And then obviously the character death at the end.
Yeah.
If you've seen the original, you know who we're talking about. And there's an interesting spin on the relationship between these two characters, which I will admit, I actually thought that it was implied in the original. I hope everyone knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was implied in the original, so seeing that on screen, I thought was good.
I think it was good. I think Stephen King was actually asked if he thought it was intentional, and he wasn't. He didn't give a full answer. He says it actually wasn't, but he loves the adaptation.
Yeah,
I think I read that once. So.
It's another good way to kind of modernize the character a little bit. Give him a modern day kind of secret. Something that he shouldn't even be a secret, honestly. Yeah. He should be very proud and open of it.
And obviously there's a big speaking of which, the movie opens up with a hate crime.
Oh yeah, straight hate crime.
I don't want to spoil that either, because I think there's a shocking value to
the
it.
other one, it was racism, and the other one's just...
Yeah, this one, it's straight up homophobic hate crime.
Yeah, I guess everyone's heard about it, but obviously that was in the book. I was in the original, and I think it is a teachable moment. I think it definitely is good. I think if anybody is, I have heard someone go around saying, if you're gay, like, don't watch this. It might shock you, but it's like, come on. The original, he fucking ate a kid's arm off. This movie is shocking.
If you're gay, don't watch it. It'll offend you.
True to life shocking.
Why would it offend you if you're gay?
Yeah, seriously.
I'm pretty sure they don't give a shit.
That shit that they fucking live with in their community all the time, dude. Yeah. I mean, they know what goes down there.
It's just,
it's bringing that to reality.
Yeah.
And even though those people were doing bad things because of, and committing that hate crime because
I know it's kind of like you're an outcast because like racism and then sexual...
Even though they were doing it because of its influence.
Exactly.
I mean, that happens in real life.
It does.
No, it does.
I think those adults actually felt that way, and they just were made more violent.
Those moments define you.
But I mean, you also kind of have that undercurrent of, they kind of bring up how nothing's really changed there when it comes to the homophobia, because Eddie Bowers and there's that scene where Eddie Bowers and his friends, like they're in the arcade, and
they think Richie,
they think Richie is
because
trying to hit on his brother or something.
His brother, because he wants to play Street Fighter with him.
Yeah, and it turns into this very nasty homophobic thing. It's like, Jesus Christ.
And it looked like he was just looking for a friend. That's what it looked like.
But I mean,
he may have been interested. He may not have been, but it doesn't.
There was definitely a, kind of a link there. It was very similar in that first scene. That very same hatred. It was kind of nothing changed there.
It's like it's one of those moments where it's like, does it matter if he is? Does it matter if he isn't? Like, just treat everybody with respect and kindness.
That's why you treat everybody with respect.
Why?
That's why you don't treat everybody different.
Who the fuck cares? You know what I mean?
Seriously, who cares?
Everybody's different.
And here at Collateral Cinema, we're LGBT friendly, right, guys?
Completely. Yeah. Hell, we celebrated Pride Month even.
Yeah, but I think that it represents, the movie franchise.
Yeah.
It does represent a lot of the lingering issues of humanity. And the creature, it kind of just brings those forward, right?
Yeah.
And makes the people more violent, but people still are the way people are. I mean, look at the way the adults are portrayed. Like, they don't care. And obviously that's due to the influence, but in real life, can adults be like that sometimes?
Oh, certainly.
They don't listen to kids,
But I mean, there's also that bystander effect that you hear about that a lot of people have. I mean, they'll see something horrible happening and they'll just walk away. That's an actual psychological effect.
Like when they're cutting up Ben in the beginning.
Do you see how we're still kids at heart?
Yeah.
There you go.
We will probably never lose that.
Always, bro.
Seriously.
But then Henry Bowers is doing that because he himself is being abused at home. It's
a
vicious cycle,
Oh, yeah. That brings up Henry Bowers is like, damn, that's a whole nother...
That's a whole other story because like it takes over him.
He's a psychopath already.
He's already a psychopath, and it like guides him almost.
Yeah,
Pennywise guides him to the right.
Yeah. With that fucking it's almost like American Werewolf in London. He has his dead friend in the fucking car.
Watch the London and watch the Paris one, dude.
Oh my god,
classic.
Yeah, but I mean that's what that kind of reminded me of a little bit.
I will say one thing I do like. The original kind of did have to hold back being a made-for-TV movie, whereas this one actually does portray everything in the book and portrays these violent, hate crimes the way that they are, and the violence the way that is. I mean, you've got, like I said, the homophobia straight up in the beginning. You've got, the whole thing with Beverly and her father was kind of downplayed in the original. It's in full force in Chapter 1.
It's a little more implied in the original.
It's more
movie.
implied, and here it's
more explicit.
It's more explicit, and even like with the shopkeeper, the pharmacy guy who also had, you look like Lois Lane. I'm just like,
that's so freaky.
Which doesn't even make sense because does Lois Lane even wear glasses?
No.
Nah, I don't think so.
It was Clark Kent.
That dude was stupid. He was just like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a knockoff Adam West. I'm sorry.
Yeah, kind of, sort of.
Old version. He wished he was Adam West.
You know what else is cool? I like how all the characters kind of revert to their original personalities, because in the original they kind of seem to have overcame, right? As kids, Beverly stood up to her father. Eddie stood up to his mother.
Bill doesn't have a stutter.
Ben
isn't fat.
Yeah,
you're right.
Ben, Richie started.
He actually did stand-up comedy like he wanted to do. Like he uses comedy for something good.
But what I'm saying is, I'm talking about when they overcome their demons.
I see what you mean.
At the end, Ben gains a little bit of confidence, and Richie kind of seems to be able to take things more seriously. And then the characters kind of all seem to revert back. Bev is with a guy that's just like her is with a husband that's just like her dad. And Eddie was with a woman that's just like his mom.
Yeah.
And in the original miniseries, it is his mom still.
Yeah, definitely.
You remember?
Yeah, you're right. Still telling them what to do. Yeah.
Yeah, and the abusive husband was also in the original movie as well.
Bill
Beverly's husband
doesn't have a stutter as an adult, but it does come back.
When he remembers.
As soon as he learns about it.
As soon as he remembers it.
Yeah.
Ben actually does seem to have done pretty well for himself.
Yeah. In the original,
he's
Eddie
writing movies,
he's
writing books, scripts. Jeez.
And he always loved Beverly.
Yeah.
I will say it is a little bit weird pushing the Ben and Bev thing. Honestly, okay, I know that Ben's the one that wrote the poem for her.
Yeah.
But if we're being honest,
Beverly thinks
Beverly had a connection with Bill.
Yeah, but Bill also has a wife and Ben doesn't, and Beverly just left her husband.
Yeah, that's true.
They were building for that.
It's kind of like they found each other.
Yeah.
They
Even
totally
years later when he wrote her the poem.
Ben waited, exactly. He had the name Beverly in his wallet the entire time.
At the end when they recited the poem, it's like, yeah, you wrote it.
He did, but obviously Bill and Bev had more on-screen moments together. It is a little weird, and that's in every adaptation. That's what happens.
They both went their whole lives thinking about this poem. He had it in his wallet.
And let's be real. I mean, she thought it was Bill because she wanted Bill.
No,
she didn't like Ben until he was handsome.
Even in the
skinny.
original, she thought it was always Bill, but
yeah.
On that note, Ben
didn't say anything.
How does Ben, actor as an adult, end up still reminding me of the child actor, even though he's completely different and he's skinny?
I know, right?
It's like the eyes. He's got the personality.
He always loved Beverly. That was his first love too.
Yeah.
I don't know how they managed to do that.
And then reciting the poem, I guess they both just fell in love with each other again.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the love story was interesting, but I mean, I could have done without it as well, to tell the truth.
I mean, like I said, I feel like maybe in the book there's more instances of the romance between Ben and Bev, because it seems like as kids they're really pushing Bill and Bev, and then as adults they're really pushing Ben and Bev.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird, but you've got that typical love triangle going on. And that's quite essential.
The love triangle. I mean, it's like it's present in all versions of the story. Yeah. But I mean, I don't think it really adds anything, nor does it really take anything away from the story. Like it's just kind of there for me.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, it's just there.
And Audra's role was downplayed.
Yeah,
and also Bev's husband was downplayed in this one.
Yeah.
They kind of took their parts and Derry completely out.
Yeah. I don't think that homeboy even recovered his wife from Pennywise, did he?
She never
even
came
there. She never came to Derry.
Yeah.
So I mean, and obviously, I think that's fine for the context of the story they chose to tell. Those parts are a little extra. It's like any time you see something cut from a book, it's just a little weird when you do see it in one adaptation and not the other.
Yeah.
But obviously, I think they chose to depict what parts they felt were important, and Stephen King did approve this. He did greenlight this, right? Because he cameos in the movie, and obviously Stephen King is critical, and he did not like The Shining. He's public about that.
He still doesn't like that movie.
Okay, if he doesn't like The Shining, then explain the scene.
He doesn't like
the Johnny scene.
Jack Nicholson's Here's Johnny.
But there's a Johnny scene.
Yeah.
There's a Here's Johnny scene.
It was at that one.
They did
Henry Bowers.
It was Henry Bowers.
Here's Johnny.
He does.
Yeah, that's right.
Door,
yeah, just very quickly.
It's a pretty funny reference.
Is that supposed to
that
be like
was a reference to The Shining of Jack Nicholson.
Well, obviously.
I'm pretty sure Chucky did that too.
There you go.
So, I mean, if Stephen King likes this movie, then I like it. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, he does love this movie.
Yeah.
So, and he likes the original too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that it gets his seal of approval.
I mean, it's been 30 years since there hadn't even been a remake since the 90s. So
yeah,
I think we're all gonna love it.
The remake justifies itself, I think. Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 together. I mean, it's a new story. In a world where people constantly, look down on the idea of remakes and reboots, I think this one justifies itself pretty well.
I agree.
People do
30 years later, it tells a new story.
Yeah, people do reboots just for the next generation.
Sometimes they do reboots for pretty much just cash grabs. I mean, there's a lot of obvious.
No, you're right. But every 10 years, something has to live up to a younger audience.
I don't think reboots and remakes are
Spider-Man and Batman.
No, not at all. I mean, Hollywood's been doing them for ages, and there are some remakes that are truly great films. Like, for instance, they remade True Grit,
like House of
Wax.
You know how many times they made House of Wax? Like 5 times, dude.
God damn, really?
It's like
4 or 5 times. Yeah.
I don't understand when people are like, "Oh, you ruined the original." Blah blah blah. We didn't ruin the original. Is still there. You can watch it. You don't have to watch the new one.
Yeah.
And as far as the argument goes, oh well, if Hollywood's spending too much time on remakes and reboots, we don't get any fresh ideas.
Why don't? Yeah, exactly.
There are still plenty of fresh ideas, and to be fair, maybe 80% of them aren't even good.
No, but
it makes more sense to capitalize on something that does work.
Why would you? No, a lot of that's true. Why would you keep remaking something when you can just have a fresh, newer idea?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because sometimes those fresh ideas suck. I'll be honest with you.
See, the fresh ideas are left up to us, the indie filmmakers.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is that people in the industry remake and reboot shit because it sells. People keep coming back to it.
You keep
you kind of have to. That's the model.
Hollywood thing. You keep coming back to that. Yeah.
A movie exists to make money.
I mean, isn't that kind of inherently the problem with it, though? That eventually there will be kind of a little bit of an artistic drought because of it.
I won't deny that does happen over time, but the movie industry is still thriving. Yeah. Fresh ideas still happen all the time, even amidst remakes and reboots. You just have to look for it. And I'll tell you what, if you're tired of it, go support your indie filmmakers.
I do.
100%. There's lots of fresh ideas coming from indie filmmakers.
We are. We're going to.
And on top of that, Hollywood remakes and reboots are not a bad thing as long as I think the remake or reboot justifies itself. If it has something to add, let's say enough time has passed that it feels necessary. Yeah. There are some things that I don't think really ever need a reboot, at least not in the near future.
Oh no, there's like for instance, they're talking about The Princess Bride.
I will say The Princess Bride, I mean, it kind of works because of the old storybook feel. I'm not sure how a remake would work.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say I'm going to refuse to watch it if they do it. Carrie Elwes wasn't on board. I think there's too much backlash. They probably won't even do it.
Yeah, I don't see why it would be. I don't think it's necessary. That's one of those golden movies that needs to just stay there.
Or something like Citizen Kane.
It is timeless. Yeah, I remember watching Princess Bride.
How do you remake Citizen Kane?
Or like
something that's such an intensely personal movie for Orson Welles.
The Lord of the Rings. Just a perfect adaptation, near perfect adaptation of the books. Harry Potter, and that's a book series I did read. The movie is not, there's not completely faithful, but it's a pretty damn good job, and I wouldn't want to see it done differently. I think
it's because you grew up with it. See, for instance, people would say that about it. They grew up with it. They wouldn't imagine another need for a remake because, like, when we get older, Harry Potter, it's going to seem like, oh wow, they made that 30 years ago.
If you remade Harry Potter right now, would you get pissed off?
Right now, because there just hasn't been enough time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's kind of like our Batman, Bo, is Michael Keaton.
Fuck yeah.
See, with superheroes though, the reason that happens though is because people still want to tell stories.
And there's a lot of stories to tell in comic book lore and everything.
There's a lot to tell, and the actors age over time, or the movie franchises just end up, going down the drain. Which the Michael Keaton run, not specifically the Michael Keaton run, but that franchise run as it went down to passed down to other actors, Kilmer,
See,
George Clooney, that went down.
It's an honor to put on that cow.
And then to Joel Schumacher.
You go from Adam West, from
Michael Keaton,
to
who else did it?
Val Kilmer, George Clooney,
Christian Bale,
Ben
Affleck,
Robert Pattinson.
I think it's Michael Keaton and Christian Bale.
Yeah,
really.
I don't know.
I think Christian Bale lived up to the original.
I think that I want to really, 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 really see what Robert Pattinson does with the character.
I do too. I'm not angry about that.
That didn't even come out yet, but everybody wants to see it.
Yeah, because Pattinson has turned out to be a really, really amazing actor. Like he's about to release a movie called The Lighthouse. It's like another kind of horror-ish movie that's made by the same guy who made The Witch.
Right,
and he's acting opposite Willem Dafoe.
Oh, nice! Really?
Yeah. So it looks like it'll be like a serious.
Robert Pattinson is good outside the Twilight series.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know if you've seen him in any.
Yeah, you have to look past the Twilight series.
You have to look past that.
He looks past it. He hates the.
You know what?
That kind of messed him up a little. He
bad.
I'll be honest with you guys. I read the Twilight books. They're not the best. The writing's a little subpar, but the story was interesting enough. And the movies are it's like popcorn movies. They're entertaining enough.
Here's the entire Twilight series in a nutshell. Man is going to make all the choices for the women folk. That's pretty much that entire series.
I will say the sparkling thing did put me off. I read the book before I watched the movie, and
I don't even know if I care about the sparkling shit. I'm indifferent to it.
I was reading.
Okay. Well, I was in high school when I graduated when that came out.
Yeah,
and those toys were Burger King'd. Okay.
Seriously, they had Twilight toys at Burger King?
Yeah, I remember that.
What?
I was there.
What?
I remember
this.
When people didn't want to have sex with Angel anymore, they wanted to have sex with fucking Robert Pattinson's Twilight.
Angel, that's good. That's good.
Fucking David Boreanaz.
I remember that. I was 18 years old, and it's like, okay, we're moving to vampires. We're moving to vampires again.
Yeah.
All right. Why isn't that werewolves?
Guys, it sounds like we're going on a tangent here.
We're going off trail here.
That's kind of a trademark for Collateral Cinema.
We're going off topic, but yeah, it's okay. It's not Angel anymore.
Nope.
Dave Brunias.
That's hilarious.
Bornias. There he is. Dude, I don't know how to say his name, but he was in a
Supernatural. You're making young girls dream about vampires and werewolves again.
Bones.
That's what you did in the
Bones.
90s. Yeah, that guy.
Oh, Bones.
That guy was Angel.
Oh yeah. That was his big role.
He got discovered by walking his dog.
Really?
Yeah.
That's actually pretty cool.
That is crazy.
Well, all right, guys. I think we're going to start wrapping things up. Let's give our final thoughts and maybe go ahead and give a little rating from 1 to 5. You're like, what do y'all think about this movie and it chapter 1 and 2 as a whole? What do you think?
I think it gets a 4 from me. That's a pretty good. I wouldn't give it a 5. Maybe, yeah, I think a 4. 4 is a pretty good number.
5 out of 5 or 5 out of 10? What do you say?
Oh, I thought you want to do out of 10.
It's out of 5.
At 5 out of 5.
So 5 is the 10. Okay.
Right.
I will say, It Chapter 1 is a 5 out of 5 for me. It Chapter 2 is 4 out of 5, maybe 4.5 out of 5. So they average out to somewhere between 4.5, 4.75 for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said,
I have to add those fractals.
I know.
God damn it.
I think I probably need to rewatch Chapter 2 again, really have a full opinion. But
yeah.
I enjoyed it. I came into it thinking that I wasn't going to like it as much as I did, honestly, because of the criticism I saw online.
Yeah.
And, well, I did know that I was going to like Chapter 1 better. I mean... And that did turn out to be true. Chapter 2 was not as disappointing as I thought it would be. I honestly thought it was great. I think the only reason why I don't like it better than Chapter 1 is just that Chapter 1 was just so phenomenally well done that it's kind of hard to top.
Right.
And then obviously the original is a big thing to live up to.
Yeah.
As compared to the original, I think that I think they do hold up to the legacy. I think that they're also their own distinctive tale. I think you can watch both separately.
I think we kind of waited too long for Chapter 2 to come out too.
You think so?
I think so, right? What do you think?
I think we did too.
Yeah. That should have come out maybe a year or two.
At least right after.
Maybe they should have had the movie already in the can and should have released them kind of.
It would have made more sense to film back to back, especially with the child actors aging having been an issue, right?
By the time those kids are 20 years old, too.
Exactly. Or they should have known what they had some foresight and, pre-recorded those scenes that they wanted those scenes. You know what I mean?
Especially the back flash scenes.
It's the same director,
just
right?
being more
Andy
modern.
Muschietti, is how you pronounce it?
I think that's how it is.
It was still good, though, I mean.
Yeah, it was great. Now, it's interesting that it takes place in 2016.
Yeah, it does.
Which is interesting. So you think it would have happened a little bit closer to that?
26 years old.
Damn.
Terminators came from.
Now, as far as my thoughts, I think the casting is spot on. Like I really like Bill Hader. I liked James McAvoy. He was great. I do feel that Skarsgård is a little underutilized, even more so than the first movie.
Yeah.
And all the horror elements was just unintentional comedy to me. It's too funny for me. I can't take this movie seriously. So I'm going to give it a solid 3.5.
All right. That's higher than I thought you'd give. So fair enough.
It's a 3.5. I mean, it was entertaining, just not for the ways that they wanted it to be entertaining. Hell, I watched 2 children die on screen and laughed at every one of them. I fucking laughed my ass off at it. The one in the fucking funhouse.
Oh, that was freaky, actually.
Damn,
funhouse death.
That was so fucking hilarious.
Like a narcissist, right?
I know. That's what I'm saying, Bo. You're like
narcissist. No, I'm just jaded. I'm a jaded.
Laugh too when everything goes to plan. Everything goes to plan for me.
Everything
like that.
excellent.
Exactly.
Well, all right. That's our take.
Did I give my take?
Yeah, go ahead and give your take. Yeah. Sorry, Robert.
4.5 because I thought they almost lived up to the original, and it's still good, and you should go see it.
Right on. I still think, even with the rating I gave it, you should definitely go and see it. People should go see this movie.
I mean, you need to finish the story that you started.
Finish it. Yeah. Finish what Stephen King wrote. So
from my perspective, don't expect it to be that scary or that horrific. It's funny. It's a funny movie.
I don't know. We're old now. I think you have to be a little kid to watch this.
Yeah, I can understand that.
It scared the fuck out of us when we were little kids in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know. Our kids nowadays, aren't they maybe a little jaded in their own ways?
This is
kind of
everybody that listens to us now. Our 90s kids are like us, bro.
Yeah.
We're Kenan and Kel. We're all that, dude.
Fuck yeah, man. Oh, shit.
We're all that.
And they brought back all that.
Yeah, reboot.
Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and cut it here. You can find us on Podbean. You can find us. We used to be on Podcoin, but Podcoin is no more, unfortunately. That sucks.
Yeah, unfortunately for
Too
us.
bad. You know,
for Podcoin.
So yeah, definitely rest in peace, Podcoin. You were fun while it lasted. It was a lot of fun.
It was a good ride.
It was a good ride. You know, interesting idea and everything. But we're also on iHeartRadio. We're on Chill Lover Radio. We're on Lofty TV Cast Radio. Like we're on SoundCloud. We're wherever you get your podcasts, ladies and gentlemen. But I mean, especially check us out on iHeartRadio and Spotify and Apple Podcast. Definitely. And we do have a Patreon that has full-length movie commentaries uploaded. We finally did it, ladies and gentlemen. We did it, guys.
We finally got them up.
Did it.
Who did it? Who did it, Bo?
Who did it? Okay, yeah, you did it.
I did it.
Okay, yeah,
there you go.
Ash did it, everybody.
Your brains? Okay.
Yeah, Ash is the brains of that operation. But yeah, I mean, you can the tiers start at $1. You can get a shout out on the show starting at near the end of the show, starting this season. So, yeah, definitely become a patron. You can also become a patron at our Podbean page, and also check us out on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. Like, I mean, you tweet at us. I mean, whoever's available will respond to you. Like, I'm trying to be a lot more engaging,
especially with our indie filmmaking. We will review you especially if you're a San Antonio actor or podcaster.
Yeah, definitely. And also, I'm going to go ahead and announce this. I mean, we already have some indie movie reviews lined up.
Yes, we do.
You know, it's like I won't go into what they are, but I mean, also, I mean, we got contacted by a First Glance Film Festival.
We have directors sending us requests.
We have directors sending us their screeners and everything. So we're going to get to that. We have. Like, I don't know if we have enough indie movie reviews. Yeah. We might do like a 4-part multi-review in one episode. Just review like 4 movies or something like that.
I think we're going to be pretty booked for a while.
Oh, yeah, we are. We're going to be pretty booked. So if you're an indie filmmaker, like, drop us a line. Send us a screener.
Especially if you're San Antonio film actor or filmmaker, we will give you a special shout-out and request.
Yeah, definitely.
So, kind of reach out to us.
Yeah, reach out. So yeah, indie filmmakers, reach out to us. Definitely.
Also, stay tuned for Collateral Cinema Season 3.
Season 3, starting with Suicide Squad, which I am going to take all you motherfuckers on.
You know,
in Suicide Squad.
Yeah, this is going to be a civil war, and we are going to have Michael Cornwell with us from the Country Club podcast. So, yeah, check them out. He's also
not funnier than me. I will out-funny that guy on our own show.
Oh, really? Fucking hey, dude.
He's not funnier than me.
Oh, shit.
I will prove that.
Oh, Michael, I know you're listening. You hearing this shit, man?
No script. Live. I'm sorry.
This mother
live.
Well, why don't you come on the Country Club sometime?
Yeah.
Because I'm shunned.
Yeah, nah, dude.
Not shunned.
He doesn't want his SNL career.
No.
Exactly.
It's nothing to Michael. It's nothing to Michael. I mean, we grew up together. We were in high school.
Yeah, I got you, man.
I love that guy too, but I bar back those nights. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You are working. So
I know Michael. We grew up together too.
Yeah, he's a good guy. So the guys from the Country Club. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and get out of here.
But before that, we're gonna also talk about Collateral Gaming.
Oh, that's right.
Video game podcast.
Gaming.
A little
shout out.
Collateral Gaming is also starting up season 2 at the same time. We're starting with Uncharted, the Nathan Drake collection. Isn't that right, Dakota?
No, it's so exciting. We've been getting through the games just back to back now.
I have to say, Uncharted is they're not half bad games.
They definitely have a cinematic quality too.
Yeah, they definitely
they feel like action movies.
Yeah, straight up. Yeah, you're straight up playing action movies. Yeah.
It's badass. So stay tuned for that. We have some indie game reviews lined up. I know that we've done a lot of over-promising and under-delivering. We hope to get a better handle on that season 2. Maybe not let you know what we're doing until we're sure that we're doing it.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure the next thing that we're doing is just going to be that Uncharted. So other than maybe a short extras segment to coincide with the release of this Collateral Cinema episode.
Yeah.
Other than that, I know we've got some indie. We're still going to do We Happy Few at some point. It's somewhere in season 2. Anyway, that's it.
All right. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are done. I'm Bo Maddox.
I'm Robert Ortegon.
I'm Chancellor Ashley.
I'm Ricardo Chancellor.
And we are Collateral Cinema, and we are out. Check us out on episode 1 of season 3, Suicide Squad.
Facebook us, individual profiles.
Yes, definitely.
And also go follow Collateral Gaming because Collateral Gaming is better.
Instagram, Facebook. Collateral Gaming's now better because we made them. Remember that. So.